So, Malignant is a new horror film by one James Wan, and it stars Annabelle Francis Wallace. And this movie is about a woman who is tormented by visions and bad dreams that become way too real for her liking, and that ultimately leads her on the path to find answers where she never thought to find them. And so, one thing I always say about any type of movie that you would go see is that before the title sequence hit, if they have a scene beforehand, usually that scene will give you all the tone of the film and what to expect, whether it's going to be good or bad. And I haven't been let down throughout the years because usually how a movie starts off, the rest of the movie after the title sequence follows that same exact tone. And I do like that it does that because from that, I really know what I'm in for, whether I know to expect some craziness, some ridiculousness, or something special. And the first scene really doesn't let me down with it, and it shows me what I'm in for the rest of the film. And tonally, this movie is kind of like an amalgamation of Saw, Insidious, and The Conjuring, with certain shots to familiar elements as well as the music used. And speaking of the music, it was not fitting for the tone and the scenes that it was used for. It was more reminiscent of Saw, and I was just thinking like, no. That was one element in this film that was used that was only really used one time, and I liked how it was used, which I would have liked if it was used more, but it wasn't. It was a scene where the main lead, she's running throughout her house, and it's like an overview shot from her running from the bottom of the house, going up the stairs to the top floor, and I liked how it came across and how it looked. And of course, this is one of those movies that is just flooded with stupid decisions, like people walking into complete darkness after hearing a suspicious sound, or just when somebody is walking and they see somebody run past them, they keep going toward that direction. It's unbelievable how many stupid characters there are in this film. Because if you're going to go swim in a tank with hungry sharks, then obviously there are some gears that aren't working in your brain. And the acting isn't the greatest. This is just flooded with like actors whose performances aren't bad, but they're just kind of passable. Some more than others. They just wasn't like anything that was truly selling what we were seeing. As an audience member, I didn't find myself getting immersed into the story like I could have with better actors. And there was an aspect where this girl thinks CSI, or maybe she's just a regular policeman. She likes the main detective, but it comes across as unnecessary because you could kind of figure out that it's not going to lead anywhere or make any major impact on the story. So it kind of puts you in the mind frame of, why was this even introduced in the movie if it's not going to go anywhere? This is just done for no reason and took up way too much screen time when it doesn't take up that much screen time at all. And there is no interesting characters. Like, these characters are literally all throwaway. Every single character could get killed and there's nothing really much to it. The only character that has some bit of interest is the main character, but at the same time, that's really all by default because the movie is driven off of her story. And it does have some scares and some creepiness to it, but it's hit or miss, but mainly miss. And the movie is very predictable to the point where I figured out what was going on and connected all the dots very early on in the film. Certain ones you have to really pay attention to in order to kind of like really come to those conclusions. Other ones was just laid out in front of you and it's like, this is what's going to happen. And it does. And there is a jail scene toward the end, and I'm not going to get too much away from it, but it came off a bit wacky. It came off a bit B-movie-ish, and that's the kind of vibe I kind of got from this movie. It didn't go all the way with the B-movie tone, but it did feel a bit wacky than it probably should have or meant to come across. And I'm not even going to say everything is bad about this because this movie has potential and it does have some good ideas, but it was just presented in the wrong package. And I think what would make this movie way better for me is if I found out that James Wan had an idea for this particular film that I kind of suspect that he might have for this particular film. And if I find out that that's true, then I would look at this movie in a totally different light. But until then, this was just not a great film. Also, it kind of didn't explain certain elements of the film, why certain people were able to do certain things. And I felt like you went through all this and you explained this and that, but you just kind of left out why this is. And I have to be vague because I'm not trying to give away any spoilers, but when you see the movie, or if you see the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But overall, this movie was not great. This movie, coming from James Wan, especially, I like the first Saw. I did like Insidious, and I love The Conjuring, as well as Aquaman. So going into this film and seeing what was delivered from James Wan, I was very disappointed. I thought that he would give us another masterpiece going into The Conjuring, but this movie just comes off as it has kind of a unique idea, but it's wrapped up in what he's done before. Because you very much feel Saw, Insidious, and The Conjuring all rolled up into this film to bring you something new, but very similar to what he's done in the past, but not to great effect. So my recommendation is that since we have the option to see it in theaters or HBO Max, don't even waste your money on seeing it in theaters. Just watch it on HBO Max. If you already have the service, if you don't have to worry about checking it out unless you want to, but it's not worth seeing in theaters. It's kind of like, it's very, very lackluster. So with that said, that has been my review on Malignant. Thank you guys for joining me. And if you haven't already, like this video and subscribe if you're not, and hit that notification bell for more videos, because more videos are soon to come. And yeah, so I'll catch you guys on the next one. So peace out, stay safe.